This is the Out of Time Film Podcast, where your hosts Tom and John discuss everything from blockbuster films to TV and games like there's no tomorrow.
Hello and welcome to the Out of Time Film Podcast. My name is Tom, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host John. And this week we are talking about Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Woo! Yeah! I've been really excited to see this film, especially since the teaser. I'm a huge fan of the series, especially the ones that are directed by Christopher McQuarrie. My favorite is Fallout, but that is the best one. It's like the most serious, the most intense. But this one was like, we're back. We're back at the cinema, lads.
So
we're back. Yes.
I mean, literally, it's like the dark part of the summer is over. It's like the clouds are parting. No more Flash, no more Transformers, no more Indiana Jones. You know, I'm mostly clowning because there's been some good stuff, but that doesn't matter because Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 is here. We're going to be talking full spoilers ahead for anyone who hasn't seen it. So, briefly explain the plot for those who don't know.
Okay, let's get into it. Ethan Hunt and the IMF team must track down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity if it falls into the wrong hands. With control of the future and the fate of the world at stake, a deadly race around the globe begins. Confronted by a mysterious, all-powerful enemy, Ethan is forced to consider that nothing can matter more than the mission, not even the lives of those he cares about most.
Well, I literally just got back from the cinema seeing this film, and you watched it earlier in the week. What did you think?
Oh my god, I was just mind blown by the story. Because, you know, in Mission Impossible films, it's like, oh, should you choose to accept this mission? Ethan does this. But this one took me by surprise. It was like, where are they going to go for the story? Where are they going to go that is kind of relevant today, or, you know, what's happening around the world? And they took it with the idea of AI. And that was like, oh, okay, they're going with this AI entity. And it's such a refreshing story to see in the series. I mean, the ones directed by Christopher McQuarrie were very, very good. But this one was very story driven in a way of like, you know, what's going to happen with these characters and fate. Has it been written or is it changing? It's like really riveting and really exciting to see in this film. And it just took me by surprise of like where they went with the set pieces as well. My favorite is the train set piece, especially as an Uncharted 2 fan.
Yeah, that was super Uncharted. I mean, really, they almost predicted the future with this because obviously they started production on this film a couple of years ago and they predicted this kind of AI boom and how scary AI can be. So it's interesting that you bring that up because the grand villain of this one is just a computer, and that is kind of the scariest thing of all. I've really, really liked the idea of this looming threat that can kind of anticipate your every move and you're always kind of playing into its hands. That was really cool. But then also they bring in the human element with the villain Gabriel, who I thought was an absolute amazing villain. The Mission Impossible franchise has some fantastic villains. And while I don't think that Gabriel is quite on the level of Solomon Lane or Philip Seymour Hoffman or Henry Cavill, I don't think he's quite there, but damn, he was cool.
Yeah, he was a banger villain. He had his presence in the film and he was like, this entity, it's taken interest of me. And it's like, what's the relationship between Ethan and Gabriel? Like, what is their past? It really wants you to explore that. And I really loved the villain in this. He wasn't forgettable. I thought it was just great. He's completely emotionless and he's very scary as well. Aside Morales, I thought he was just great as Gabriel.
Yeah, I agree. He was really intimidating both in physicality and also in the things that he says. There's some really great sequences with him that hold a lot of tension just because he's standing there, because he's talking. And also early on when you just see him in the background, like during the airport sequence, it was really good to add some mystery to him. I think that very similar to what they do with Solomon Lane when Ethan sees him in Rogue Nation. That was great. And I think you see what happens in a Mission Impossible movie when the villain isn't as good. Like, I love Ghost Protocol, but I cannot for the life of me remember the villain in that movie, which
I
is a
can't
real
remember.
shame.
I
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
remember.
A lot of these kinds of films are brought down by the villains, and I think that this one is not the case. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts about his background with Ethan? Because the one thing that I didn't like about him was the fact that it's like it's an old enemy from your past. I really don't like it
Yeah.
when they do that and they're like, yes, you already have history with this person. It's difficult to define, difficult to get right. It's really not something that I am huge on. The idea that Ethan is no longer just a regular agent. He's somebody who has almost like this. In Rogue Nation, they call him the living manifestation of destiny. And I like the idea that he becomes that after all of his adventures. Whereas this kind of almost says that it was always written for him and that he always had a past that's going to catch up with him. That's never been my kind of thing. So I wasn't sure about that direction and giving him a little flashback and giving them previous beef. I don't think that added anything.
Yeah, I know what you mean about like, oh, it's a villain from the past that the audience must know, but we just added in some flashback type thing.
It was me, James. It was
What?
me, the
Oh my
author of all
God.
your pain.
No, you took everything from me. Yeah, so I mean, I didn't mind it, but I think it was just kind of unnecessary. But at least we do get some idea of what the villain is.
Yeah, they build it more in this movie than they do in the stuff off screen. Like they don't totally rely on previous stuff. They give him enough. Like, I mean, a big thing in this movie is that he kills Ilsa, which is a really big emotional moment and something that really impacts Ethan. And that is bigger than the random woman that he kills in the past, whose name I don't even know. But I really liked that after everything that Ethan and Ilsa have been through, this kind of love that they have for each other, an unspoken love, she's ripped away from him. That's brutal, man. That is brutal.
Okay, not gonna lie. I wish Rebecca Ferguson had a bit more character, more moments in that film, because I thought that would give more emotional. But it was brutal. Yeah, I agree with that. It was brutal to see, Ilsa just like, no, she's gone. And it's like making Ethan just like he's lost everything now. I just feel like it was a bit empty. It was there, but I just didn't feel that emotion. It was a bit different for me. I was like, no, why? This is too early. No, please.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like I felt it, but I understand exactly what you mean. They really could have played on the fact that she stole the key and she has made decisions that has gotten everyone in some hot water. And I think the idea of all of that makes it difficult when she doesn't then do much. And she mostly just stands there like giving everyone side eye the whole time. And it's like she's a really good character in Rogue Nation and she's also
she
great
was
in
great.
Fallout.
I loved that in the Rogue Nation.
I kind of feel like after the mystery of her was solved and after her and Ethan became friends, the writers potentially didn't know what to do with her. And so that's why she's the one who dies, because, everybody else has their role. Benji and Luther, who act in a lot of ways as Ethan's moral compass, and they are different levels of the guy in the chair or whatever. And then we introduce Hayley Atwell as Grace, who is this kind of younger agent, I guess. And I also loved her. One of the strongest thing is the cast. Like, come on, Hayley Atwell and Pom Klementieff and just all the people who they add in this movie are just phenomenal. Like, Vanessa Kirby's back. We really have just like everyone, and that was amazing.
Literally everyone was here, like in some scenes.
Even Kitteridge, my man.
Kitteridge. Oh my God.
My boy. My beautiful boy. And
Wait,
he's brought with him the Brian De Palma Dutch angles. Oh, it's beautiful.
Apparently, Nicholas Hoult appeared in this film.
Eh?
Yeah, I'm looking at
Sorry,
Google.
I was getting excited about Kitteridge. Why was Nicholas Hoult in it? I didn't notice him.
It might be Google or something, but it does say here, Nicholas Hoult is here. Anyway, you got Mark Gatiss.
Yes.
Rob Delaney.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I want to talk about that board scene with Charles Parnell and Indira Varma and Carey Elways and Kittredge. I struggled with the first maybe 10 minutes. Everything before Ethan revealed himself in that board. I was sitting there and I was like, oh no. It's gonna be bad. This movie is gonna be bad. Like, we're in the boardroom and we've just had the submarine scene and the scene in the desert, and we're in the boardroom and they're finishing each other's sentences and they're giving a lot of exposition and nothing was pulling me in. And I was just like, oh God, oh God, oh God. And then as soon as we get into the stuff with the Dutch angles and with Kitteridge and Ethan, and you get the mask pulling off, and then he puts on the mask of Kitteridge at the end, brilliant. And then you get the fuse, you get the opening credits, and then the movie goes straight into it. And I was like, yes. But before that, I was just not sure. I was really struggling. I thought it was really clunky.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was like, I don't know where this is going, and I'm scared. It was just like, where are they going to go for the story in the first 10 minutes? And we just got so much dialogue. I was trying to keep up what they're trying to say. And as you just said, they were like finishing each other's sentences. I was like, oh God. Why give us exposition about this entity? I mean, these are great actors. You got Charles Parnell and the guy who played Kittredge. And it's like, this scene is like, okay, I don't know how to get into this, because there's some great actors. But then it completely flips over when Ethan comes in, and it's just like, I was here the whole time. I was wearing the mask. Classic Ethan. And oh my God, can we just talk about the music? Well,
Lorne Balfe, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
Lorne
but
Balfe.
that is just fantastic. The use of the Mission Impossible theme is as strong as ever, but there are also some really great pieces which rack up the tension. Like, I would say my favorite sequence in the movie is the whole scene in Venice with the party and everything that happens after the party, and the music in the party, you know, the kind of club music that was adding to the tension beautifully. Oh, it was fantastic.
It was so good. The whole scene in Venice, it was just so beautiful, and it's like he really made what the soundtrack was supposed to be for the rest of the series. Like, it's definitely Mission Impossible. I don't know which one's my favorite though, because I said earlier that the train set piece was just incredible. I just thought that it was the most intense bit out of the Mission Impossible series. Like, the train bit, it was just like, how on earth they're gonna get out, and it was like, yeah, this is Uncharted 2 right there. It was
Oh,
just,
it was amazing. When the
my
movie
God.
kicks into gear, it kicks into gear. Oh my God. I mean, I have to say, there's a weird thing of this movie where it has so many parallels to other blockbusters of this summer. Like, there's a whole car chase through Rome in which there's an extended sequence of things rolling down the stairs, just like in Fast X. And then there's a huge bit on a train, on top of a train, just like in Indiana Jones. And the movie ends with a shot of a submarine, just like Fast X. What's going on? And also there's a bridge that explodes, just like Fast X again. I feel like Mission Impossible came in and
I
they
was
were
like
like,
having
guys.
deja vu. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I just realized I just seen these. But my other favorite scene is the Fiat car chase sequence, you know, when
Yes.
Ethan and Grace were in that small Fiat. And that gave
Yeah.
me Lupin the Third vibes. And it's like, yeah, this is pure Lupin the Third right here. This is
That's
like,
so, yeah, and like they're handcuffed together, which is so Pierce Brosnan and Michelle Yeoh in Tomorrow Never Dies, and you just gotta love that this movie is taking so much influence from everything else. Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie are stepping onto the scene and they're saying, "This is how you do it, guys," because oh my God, this movie is made to perfection. Like, I couldn't see after Fallout, I think to myself, how are they going to make this better next time? And it really, the way that it's made is just spectacular. The entire aesthetic of the film is glorious to witness.
yeah, you get so much and some really interesting concepts and some really interesting, you know, like what they bring into the film and the stunts. Oh my God, Tom Cruise, he's a madman. We all said this all this time, you know, like he's done some crazy stunts. I mean, he climbed on the Burj Khalifa, the helicopter chase sequence in Fallout. Oh my God, and literally clinging onto a plane in Rogue Nation. I'm like, you can do everything. He's literally a Hollywood action star. Oh my God.
Yeah, obviously it's a bit of a meme that Tom Cruise is saving cinema, but seriously, who else can give you this kind of spectacle? There's such a sense of weight and of gravity to so much stuff in the third act with the train and the motorbike. Like, holy shit, the atmosphere in the cinema when he jumps off that cliff. It was just insane. Like,
It
you
was
just feel
insane.
everybody holding their breath, and I'm just there, just like, oh my God, this is real. This is real. And you can't
It's
quantify.
real.
It's real. Like, you can't quantify the power of that. That is like, you know, you can't just, you know, do that on a green screen, because this feels so amazing, and everything they bring to this movie. There are so many action sequences where just the sheer power of it and the practicality of it just makes everything elevate so much higher. Like when they're climbing up the train as it crashes, that is so cool. And what I loved in the Venice sequence is when they're fighting on the bridge, and we're not cutting 1,000 cuts like it's Jason Bourne or like it's a lot of modern action movies. We're holding on it and we're panning around and we're cutting where necessary. And then you've got the claustrophobic fight scene where Ethan's fighting two
That was
people on
so
either side
cool.
of him in a really small alleyway. That is fantastic and done so well. And of course, you get Tom Cruise running for ages. And it's
Yeah,
brilliant.
we get the
That's
Tom
what we
Cruise
come to the
one.
cinemas for.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh,
It was absolutely fantastic.
yeah, I just loved the sequence in the alleyway, and it was just so well done. I was like, how on earth did they film this? It's so claustrophobic, and I don't know how they filmed that. It was just so tight with the walls, and I was just like, how on earth did they choreograph this alleyway fight? And I was just mind blown about what they've done for that. And I just love the juxtaposition between Elsa fighting against Gabriel, and then cutting to Ethan fighting against Paris, and it was like, oh my god, it was so
It's
cool.
insane.
It was so cool to experience.
I know that I'm going to eat my words next year, but how the hell are they going to top this with Dead Reckoning Part 2? While I think that Fallout is the better movie, I still think Fallout is the best Mission Impossible movie.
Same.
This comes in at second for me, even though there were elements of the plot that didn't work, and maybe it's recency bias, I don't know, but the craft of it and the way that Christopher McQuarrie has directed the absolute shit out of it, it's incredible, and I really hope that it does well at the box office. And I know that, it's going up against Barbie and Oppenheimer next week, so we pray for Mission Impossible. But seriously, this is just a level of filmmaking that's so important. It's a reminder of what we loved about Top Gun Maverick. It's fantastic.
I agree. It's something to witness on the big screen. And as what Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie said, we'll see you at the cinema. And it was like, yes, we saw cinema. And it was just
see you at the movies.
Yeah.
It's
see you at the movies.
So
That's
good.
It.
Wait.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video of Tom Cruise like on the biplane?
Yeah.
That's not from this movie. That's from 8. That's what he's gonna do in Mission Impossible 8. Oh my god. You know how I just said, how are they gonna top it? Never mind. That's how they're going to top it. Tom Cruise on 2 biplanes.
No, they're not shooting that.
Yes, that's so cool.
Oh my god.
Amazing. So yeah, that was during the filming of Mission Impossible 8. Oh, this is just why.
There's no
why
way
we do
they're
it.
going to do a biplane dogfight.
It seems like they are, and Tom Cruise is going to be on the wing. Oh, that's so cool. That is just peak shit right there.
He did see Chris McQuarrie on the plane as well while promoting the film.
It's insane. They filmed the big motorbike stunt. They filmed that day one of this movie because they were basically like, listen, if I die right now, then there's no point doing the movie at all.
Okay.
So they filmed it on day one, but he survived, and it really is such a great sequence.
Yeah, they done that motorbike. I've seen that behind the scenes so many times. I was like, this is like so dangerous. And I mean, the insurance on that for, Tom Cruise must be really high. It's like, well, if Tom Cruise dies, then there's no point making these 2 films. And not gonna lie, last year before this film came out, we thought that Ethan Hunt was gonna die. We thought we were gonna, in part 1, he's gonna die, and then somehow in part 2, he's gonna come back.
Yeah.
And he didn't die. So
no, he didn't. Interesting.
I'm wondering where we're gonna get in part 2. Another favorite thing is the ending as well, when they have the key and they have to find Sevastopol, the place where the entity is. And when Kittredge was talking about the usual mission log to Grace, and it goes back to Sevastopol with the camera, shows that shot of it underneath the sea. I was like, yeah, this is about to be insane. Imagine this Dead Reckoning Part 1 was just a prologue, and then we go into the madness of Part 2. And then imagine we get Part 3. We were like, oh my god.
Just like Fast X.
Yeah.
Seriously, like next year we've got Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. We've got Spider-Verse, maybe. I don't know if that's happening. And then in 2025 we've got Fast X Part 2. There's a lot of like second parts happening, and it's really exciting seeing this format being used really well, because I think the format was really killed when it came to Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 and Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2 and Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. Like, they did that so many times. They've done 2-parters so many times. And I feel like we've had a bit of a break. Obviously, we had Infinity War and Endgame. But I think now with Spider-Verse and with Mission Impossible, these are showing you how it's done, because there's nothing quite like being this excited at the end of a movie. Just, all the elements have come together so nicely. And there's so many lingering questions. And I specifically didn't rewatch all the Mission Impossible movies for this one. I'm going to do it next year, and it's going to be amazing rewatching all 7 of them before 8 and getting what I have 100% faith will be a satisfying conclusion. I don't know if it's ever going to be as good as Fallout.
Possibly.
It would be
Maybe.
nice. It would really be nice. But yeah, there's so many places they can go.
I don't know how on earth they're going to top everything in this film. Like, some really interesting concepts. What they're going to do with the entity in the next film. I'm so excited to see what we're going to have in store for the next one. It's part 2. And interestingly, I was like, I wonder how they're going to promote when it's a 2-parter. You know, like, we got Spider-Verse and then we got Dead Reckoning. It's like, how do we not get spoiled about what's going to happen in the next part? It's something to see, but then you just feel like, I don't want to spoil it myself, but I want to know what happens next. It's like Return of the Jedi, I guess. You know, it's like, oh my god, what happens in yeah, I don't think we actually experience something that is like so exciting, and that's going to be literally two-parters next year, possibly, if Spider-Verse will make it in time.
Which they definitely won't. There's no way. They haven't
no
even started
way.
animating that movie.
Or
There's
doing the
not a
voice
chance.
acting as well. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
so the interesting thing is that Mission Impossible, yes, it's part 1, but it ends fairly like closed. Like the narrative is closed. They found the key and all that. And so I think they can market it like any movie. But something
They
like
could.
Spider-Verse or Fast X, where it's ending in the middle of a moment, how will Miles escape? How will Dom escape? How do you market that? You can't show them in anything because it's going to spoil, in some sense,
Capacity,
what
yeah.
happens to them. That's such a big part of what those 2-parters are going to be. Whereas
Yeah.
Mission Impossible, I feel like they've got more to work with because they left it more closed.
I wonder if they're gonna do what this is not gonna be what Miyazaki is doing right now with How
Oh,
You Live.
wow.
That would be like, hey guys, I know you heard about part 2's coming literally next week, but here's nothing. You just like, I know the date, I know when it's gonna come out, but I haven't heard anything about it. That would be the most hype thing ever.
I can't see a movie doing that like that. As much as I would love that, even Avengers Endgame, when they were trying to keep everything a secret, even they had to market the absolute hell out of that movie.
I remember about Endgame, they had to show the trailers and stuff, but I remember one specific thing they said about like, yeah, in the trailers, we're going to show you the first 15 minutes as a trailer as a whole, like 3 minutes, but like some scenes from the first 15 minutes of the film. That's a lie, because in that trailer, in the first teaser trailer for Endgame, you get to see moments that is literally nearly at the end of the film.
Yeah, they just straight up show parts of the third act.
Oh my god! Oh please! Don't be a disappointment! Oh god! I'm having an existential crisis. Tom, please! I don't want it to be like Endgame.
Cruise and McQuarrie. It's not going to be Endgame. Cruise and McQuarrie are going to save us. They've made 3 bangers. They've got to deliver on this final one.
Oppenheimer Part 2, guys. Oppenheimer Part 2.
Oh god! I tell you what, though, I will try and avoid the trailers for the next one as much as I can, because the one thing about going to the cinema a lot, I go a lot, and I've seen the Mission Impossible trailer so many times. And so when I was watching the movie, I was like, okay, what's the next set piece? Or like, when's the train gonna happen? Or this, that, and the other. And it's not a fun way to watch movies. I wish trailers didn't show nearly as much as the movie as they do, but in many ways they have to.
They happen to do
so much.
For example, Nope. I remember when I went to see Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I was watching the trailers. I was like, "Oh, Nope, that's cool." It didn't show me anything at all, apart from 1 nanosecond of the alien. Like, it showed me, like, it was like a blink, and you're gonna miss it. But it showed me that. I was like, "Oh." But I've just been spoiled now. I've been ruined by the history. Marketing, please be good next year, please. I just want to be like, oh, the hype for Mission Impossible. Yeah, let's make it even more intense.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be my most anticipated film of next year, unless Spider-Verse comes out. I guess we'll see, because it's, you know, it's really exciting.
I guess we'll see. Go see Mission Impossible, please. Please support the cinema.
It's amazing.
Right now.
See it on the biggest screen that you can, because damn, it's worth it.
The funny thing is that in the first podcast that we ever done, which was talking about like DC fandom, but Tenet,
yes.
we were like, don't see this film. It's a 7 out of 10.
Oh, and God.
We were so brain dead about like, don't go and see it, because it was COVID at that time as well. And it didn't do too well at the box office. We were like idiots. We were like, oh, of course, this box office mess.
I'll tell you what, right? I recently rewatched Tenet for the 3rd time, ready for Oppenheimer, and it's such a banger. It's such a banger. We were so wrong about it. I remember my film teacher saying, oh, should I see Tenet? And I was like, oh, no, don't waste your time. I'm an idiot. I want to slap my younger self, because Tenet is awesome. And if anybody is thinking, oh, maybe I should see it, Mission Impossible, maybe I shouldn't, you totally should, because you're never going to get a better experience than watching a Mission Impossible movie movie on the big screen.
Yes. And also, you are supporting the cinema as well. I mean, if you want to
Exactly.
see a great film,
It's a win-win.
you're going to see Tom Cruise winning and you're supporting the cinema. This is a win-win situation right here if you want to see more films at the cinema. I mean, what's happening right now with their strikes and what the business...
Yes, which we fully support. And, you know,
Yes, we fully
any delays
support.
and anything that comes out of it, you know, is all in service of a good cause. And
Yes.
fuck all the producers and the big wigs
Exactly.
who have so much money and really don't need that much money and are taking it all for themselves, not giving it to the people who deserve it. So, you know, we're fully
Yes.
in support of all that. Yeah.
And there should be credit to screenwriters as well who put so much
Yes.
heart and dedication into writing. So support that as well, because stories, performers, writers, and poets, you know, they haven't sacrificed anything for big business owners just to say, oh, they're not worth it. Meanwhile, they have millions and millions of dollars in the bank.
And they totally are worth it because they, you know,
Yeah.
they are the backbone of the industry, and you
Yes.
know, nothing works without them.
Yes, exactly. So I want to finish on that note of like, please support what the writers and actors right now, because I remember yesterday when Christopher Nolan was like, oh, they've gone now, the actors, they're supporting the strikes for the Actors Guild.
Good, as they should.
Yeah, good. Yes, they should.
What are you going to give Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 out of 10?
I'm going to say 9.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, that's made it into my top 10 for the year, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon as well. That is definitely a placement in the top 10. And that is going to be another blockbuster hit. I feel it.
I hope so. I really want this one
so.
to do well.
Yeah. Alongside with Barbie, oh my God, that would be like the best month. You know, like you see Mission Impossible,
Yes.
Barbie, Oppenheimer, and it's like the holy trilogy of films.
Oh, and it doesn't stop there. You know what's after Oppenheimer?
Tell me.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles!
Yes!
Woo!
The quadrilogy, yes! That'll be the best month that we experienced for films. I wonder what's the best month that films had.
It's this month!
Oh my God!
We're living in history right now.
We're living the best timeline. Oh my God.
Thank you everybody for listening. If you're listening on YouTube and you enjoyed it, you can like and subscribe if you want to see more. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can follow and give us a 5-star review if you think we're worthy. Next week, the month of cinema continues with Barbie, which is gonna be just amazing. Oh my God, I can't wait. You better know that we're both doing Barbenheimer, both movies on the same day. That's gonna be incredible. And you can send us an email at outstimefilmpod@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on Barbie and ask us any questions. We'll answer it right here on the podcast next week. And you can follow us on Instagram at outstimefilmpod to see our incredible thumbnails from Zain Afzal, on Twitter for more thoughts from me, and TikTok to see edited clips, which are also on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. And you can find links to all that in the description below. Thanks to Jones-Meyer for the excellent theme and Ronan Phillips for vocals, as always. And I think that is everything.
That is everything. And I also want to say that there are amazing shorts that Tom made. So I want to
thanks, man. Thanks, man.
They're great, man. They're a banger. There's some great ones. There's some funny ones.
Just wait. John, just wait to see the one that I'm going to release in an hour. Oh boy. It's incredible.
I can't wait. Yes, that's everything. Take away, given.
Give nothing back.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.